Hey guys, it's Kyle Bennett with HardOCP, and a bunch of you reached out today after we did the delitting and relitting. We showed you yesterday, and everybody says, hey, why don't you run the chip naked and see exactly what kind of temps you get after that. And that's cool. So here's our 2600. We took the spreader back off and cleaned it up. And so we've got it there in the socket. And there you go, that's how I'd clamp down. And let me show you something here. So the problem you run into here, so we've got our water block, all right, that we can put on there, but here's the issue with the size of that water block, and they make some different water blocks that actually will sit down inside this. If you can see right here, let me bring you in tight there. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out on camera or not. Okay, but you can see the bottom, you can see the reflection. Whereas that height there, the Z height on the socket around it, doesn't let us actually reach down onto the die. So if we put that on there, obviously we're not going to mate. But what we can do is we can cruise right over here. We can grab our little tool, which is a star wrench. And these sockets are not actually the socket, but the mechanism that holds the CPU into the actual socket are held in with just a couple of screws, and there's a base plate on the bottom. Screw there, and then the other one screws right there. We'll just leave the plate on back. These are not torqued very tightly. So this should come right off. And you have to excuse my lighting. I lost one of my lights today. So there we go. So that's our naked socket. So without that, we can come back here. Now let's look at our Z height. Let's see if that will reach. Still gonna be too high. Get in your way there for a second. That looks exactly about perfect. Looks like we're not sitting down, or at least we are sitting down on the die. So we definitely have enough room that way. Got enough room that way. I didn't know if these shoulders right here on these corners would catch or not. So we got height there crossways, and we got height diagonally. So for this, we are not going to use the metal TIM. That stuff is tremendously messy, and it is electrically conductive. And those are two things that don't go together well when using a motherboard. But we are going to use the Noctua. Sorry about the focus there. We're going to use the Noctua NTH1. So I'm going to cut away. We'll get it greased up, and we'll cut back in a second. So we use just a tiny drop of Noctua NTH1 right down there on the die, as you can see. Now we're going to drop the block on and see if we can break this thing. So let's go and see what happens. Our surface is already nice and clean on our block. So let's drop down on here. And now I can feel that I'm on the sides of the socket itself. I'm pushing down with a great deal of force. Now we're going to check and see exactly how far up the die rode, and if we're going to have enough contact patch. So let's see. And if we did, the CPU is probably going to be stuck to the bottom of this. Let's see what happens. Aha, there you go. So there you go. That is a good thing. That means we are really close to getting our Z height correct. Now I guess, what do you think? Stick it back on there, not jack with it? Let's see if it actually go back down the socket. Yep, it didn't move at all. Okay, so we don't need a lot of pressure on here, obviously. We just need to hold it down and see what happens. So there you go. We'll follow back up and see what the results are of running the die naked and if we burn up the CPU or not. Okay, so I went back and I was checking the video. Obviously I could see it better on a big screen. And it looks like we were touching the sides of the socket when I was looking at how we checked the value with the razor blade there. And it looked like the side of the razor blade was a little bit higher on the side of the die. And so I wanted to, I took it back apart and checked the TIM. And the TIM looked beautiful. It looked beautiful and we had good compression on it. So while after we test, I might go back and modify this socket on this Gigabyte motherboard. And we might not. But so anyway, I wanted to fire it up while we're all standing here together and see if we let the magic smoke out. And that's not good. Hey, that is good. That's not good. That's good. And that's not good. All right. Let's see what's wrong. Okay, so we're back to try this again. Decided that we didn't have enough pressure down on the socket itself to seat the CPU into the socket properly so the pins line up correctly. So what we've done here is we've gone high tech, and as we know, you can fix dang near anything with tape, right? Now let's keep you down on here. So what we've done is we've put a few layers, 3 layers of blue painter's tape around the edges there, and I think we've made a nice little shim that hopefully will get us where we need to be. So we've got everything cleaned up again. So let's give it a shot. Obviously, I didn't want to use more than that. I figure it's easier to add than take away. Okay. Actually, I'm going to leave the springs down this time. And dropping big metal things on the motherboard is why you turn the power off and drain the caps while you're using it. I'm going to tighten down on it pretty good again. More than I would if it was just sitting in the socket by itself. Okay. Power up. Give it a second. All right, you ready? See what happens. Come on to Papa. Come to Papa. And I think we are about to call that success. Kick ass. So there you go. Let's that is very, very good there. We got all the pretty lights. All the pretty lights. Okay. Let's see. No, that's horrible. Now, we did have the last CPU that ran in there successfully was the 7700, so it may just be resetting the BIOS. I thought I had cleared it. Maybe I did not between changes, but I'm feeling good. Come on. Come on. Come on. Damn. All right. gonna go back and try it again. Okay, so we're trying this again. Excuse me, hit the tripod. We've got our 4 layers of tape this time. And I just got out the magnifying glass. Checked my socket. I thought it might have been a pin. I had a weird reflection coming off. And everything looked okay. So I'm gonna cut away for a second and get this all strapped down. Okay, so we're getting this tightened back up. And if you guys remember, obviously back in the old days when we used to have the exposed cores on the Thunderbirds that were so easy to chip, especially when you were mating a heatsink up, this is a little bit different because you got to think of the configuration we have here. It's setting that CPU is literally floating on a bed of pins on a little springs. So back in the old days, when you apply pressure, you didn't have any give at all. And so now with it floating on those bed of pins, we actually have a pretty good bit of give. And I think that it'd just be a lot harder to damage one of these than it would be back in the old days when we had the Thunderbirds sitting on a bed of pins, because there was just no give at all, right? Okay. Okay, so I mean, I'm down pretty tight, and I am using the spring sides. I probably should have flipped those over and just bolted them straight down, but I didn't. All right. Feeling pretty good about that. Just gonna power back on. Caps up. All right. For glory, right? Okay. Come to Papa. I'm feeling good about this. It's going through the same codes over here, over and over. Oh, maybe it was just checking every stick of RAM. Let's see. We got this far last time. Who knows? This is our It rebooted like this on test a while ago when I did finally get it to boot back into OS. So I'm not discouraged yet. If it does it again, then I think back to the drawing board. Come on. Come on. That's no good. Damn it. All right, let's do it again. Okay, so we're pulling it with 4 layers down. And I want to check the TIM again. Ah, that's not good at all. So now our shim's higher than our CPU. So I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and figure this out. Okay. So went back and kind of evaluated what we were dealing with, and this CPU has gotten a little bit curly on the edges from being in and out and compressed so often in the socket. So 2 of these edges were peeling up, so we flattened out the substrate and I redid the tape in a little bit better manner. So now you can see, let me take you in tight there. Whereas I had basically 4 blocks built up on the edges, what we did, I laid it down really nice. So we should be getting pressure all the way to the outside, and I'm wondering if we weren't getting good seating on the outside of these sockets. So now if this doesn't work, we know 4 layers is not enough. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go out and take the board and we're gonna trim the edges of these sockets off. And I'll probably switch boards at that point because this board has not been fully reviewed yet. I'm waiting to get it over to Dan, and So I'll probably switch boards at this point, and I'll have to do a little bit more testing to make sure we still have a stable board, but I got a couple here we can definitely try. All right, so I'm gonna cut away while we get this all put back together and be back in a sec. Okay, back for one more try. See how it goes. I don't like that little skip right there. Nope. And we are again unsuccessful. Okay, time to get another motherboard out and start carving her up. Okay guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this or not. And so we've got this board down on the test bench. And so you saw we taped off the pins here, and so there was 4 edges on this socket. This is the last one left, and as you see, it's just probably a 32nd of an inch higher, right? And that's where it was, our block was stopping on this. So I'm gonna try to see if I can show you. So I thought about doing this a couple different ways, and first I thought I'd go ahead and try to, I'd start with the razor knife. Get a nice new blade on it. And I probably left the most difficult corner for last. And what's really interesting about this stuff is it cuts really, really easily. I would not have expected it. And the rest of these I've kind of whittled. That one I kind of sawed off. But if you take your time, you can definitely remove material. I've already got my other 4 corners, my other 3 corners rather, flushed down. And show you my finger in the way there. Yeah, I don't know if I'm able to show you this, and I'm trying to get one slice on this, at least while you're on camera here. So you see how the material's coming off there? I mean, it's coming out there. It's coming off fairly easily. I mean, you got to use a little bit of force and take care of yourself. And so I wanted to show you how that whittled down. And anyway, I'm going to finish it up, and I need to get my hands around it so I'm more stable, so I'm not going to be able to get in there on it. But I'll show you some close-ups when we're done. Okay, so this is the socket after we just got finished chopping on it. Here, let me grab this. And so what we did was we took some Z-height off all 4 of these corners where I think the block was hitting. These corners were raised a little bit. So I just went by feel, trimmed those down, whittled them down a bit, and came back and inspected our socket and made sure it's clean. So now we're gonna give it another try with our naked CPU and see what happens. So this is the Gigabyte Z270X Gaming 7. We've already reviewed this motherboard, and so if we torch it, then we're out nothing. Got our CPU, 3 layers of tape, put on really nicely. Since we cut our pins off, well, I guess the pins are still down in there. We should fit down in there just fine. See how it feels. Yep, she's there and she's good. So we're gonna get it all buttoned up, and then we're gonna come back and see if it works. Okay, you're here to see the first fire up with me. It felt good going in, you know, but who the hell knows? It's all guesswork at this point. So let's see what happens. I did not tighten the CPU block, the water block, all the way down. Or at least I didn't feel like I did. Let's see. And holy crap. There you go. Okay, Windows Boot Manager came up and probably grabbed the wrong drive. So let's see if we can power it down. Hey, we got it powered down. I'm going to remove our data drive. Let's try it again. Just coming back up. We got a BIOS screen, and check that out. We now have a working bare naked lady. Woohoo! All right, so we'll get back to you on temps and how this goes and how it impacts our overclocking. So there you go. Appreciate you watching. It's Kyle Bennett with HardOCP.